Welcome back to part 4, where we're going to be talking about coordinated turns, which are some things that aren't immediately obvious to many a beginner, which is basically about how to use both sticks at once. Now, often you've got yaw, which will turn you round, and that's sometimes what people start off doing, just literally going around, yawing, and then trying to correct themselves. A coordinated turn is actually using both sticks. So if you see here to turn, I'll roll and I'll yaw. But it's not quite as simple as that, because it depends a lot on the speed and angle. So if I'm going quite slow,
4.0.
I put a reasonable amount of yaw in with my stick. Actually, it wasn't too slow. If I'm going super slow, then it's pretty much all yaw and a little bit of stick. But if I go faster, it's mainly roll and just a touch yaw at the end. So it's not a case of you will do this much stick on each. It will vary depending on the angle. I'm going to cut back to my man cave now to show you exactly what I mean.
Okay, to understand what I'm on about where you yaw and where you roll, let's go back to a little bit of theory, if you will. Here's our quad, and if it was going perfectly straight and flying like that, you would only ever put in your input, and that your input would allow you to turn. Of course, you'd never be like perfectly flat, but this is just an illustration. If you were going flat and you put roll input in, you'd just go off like that. So just yaw. Conversely, if you're up completely like this, you'd only put in roll to turn. Because if you put in yaw when you're going along, you just sort of do that, wouldn't you? What we are is somewhere in between the two normally. If you imagine our horizon straight, we're about here. So what we're actually doing is the roll, because it's coming forward, is bringing us round, but often like this, which is why, if you imagine the angle, we're yawing as well to correct ourselves around the corner. Make sense? Hopefully. Look back at a bit more flying. I'm going to tell you how I like to practice them.
I like to think the best way of practicing it is make sure when you do a turn you can keep your altitude perfect. So I often find it's good around here where I can turn and I've got the barrier of the trees to make sure I turn, keeping my altitude same. Oh look, a post there to turn around. That's good fun to make a nice big turn, isn't it? Then I go back and I'm trying to keep the same altitude as I'm doing my coordinated turn. And you notice that is mostly roll stick because of the speed, and look, I've let myself go a bit high there. And that is coordinated turns. Both sticks, but your amount of yaw and your amount of roll will depend upon your speed and of course what you're wanting to do. Fast turn, mostly stick on the roll. There you go. Spring in for landing.
One.
The weird thing is with coordinated turns, and I guess it's good news in some ways, is once you know how to do it, you don't have to think about it, you just do it. I've watched it back and I'm looking at my thumbs and I'm like, oh, I don't remember doing any of that. It just happens. You just learn how to do it. So trying to tell someone how to do it is often a little bit tricky as well. I've been trying to sort of reverse engineer what I've learned to try and figure out which way I've learnt it. And so I can't say you do this and you do a bit of that. However, what I would say is that to learn it, don't lead with your yaw. Go roll stick first, let it move around, and then you'll notice how you need to then correct on the yaw. So when you're going into a faster turn, go in with your roll stick first on your right thumb if you're mode 2, and that will start yourself turning, and then you'll see how you can correct it with the yaw on the left stick to bring it back straight. And often when you're then coming out of the turn, so if you come around a great big sweeping bank like this and you want to come up straight, obviously you might be like this, and at that point you'd use roll to correct yourself back to level. Well, a bit of roll, still a bit of yaw, because as soon as you're in this position you sort of go a slightly diagonal, so you're always going to need a little bit of both sticks to get yourself back together. Mainly it's a case of practice. Keep flying it, keep trying it. It's something you have to be quite conscious of at first, and then it becomes second nature. But once you get it, you'll be able to do those really great full sweeping turns and then really tight banks to get around it. And if you're wanting to get into any sort of racing, being able to get those tight turns really quickly is something you'll definitely need to practice and accomplish. This is the last of my initial tutorials that I filmed, and from some of the feedback I've got a couple more that I'd like to talk about, like power setups and perhaps how to use profiles a little bit more in Betaflight. And I've got some ideas for some stuff in the future. But if you've got this far and you're thinking, oh no, he didn't cover X, Y or Z, let me know what X, Y or Z is, and I'll see if I can go back and do it, because if it's something that everybody wants to know, it benefit lots of people. Till that point, I'll see you later. Bye.